the Miami Heat are in a position where they've broken Jimmy Butler. Udonis Haslem is officially quitting over 4 days. And I think it was that Randall shot. And
they did win afterwards.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong when I say to you, Stugotz, that that's as good as the Knicks have felt? Right now, they're in a 9-game winning streak. They just won at Miami and at Boston, and they win at Miami.
Possibly frisky.
We've had some moments.
What a
Amari,
playoff series a decade ago,
Yeah, Amari, the first 20 games was the MVP of the NBA. That felt good. Linsanity felt good. The playoff win that felt like winning a championship a couple of years ago, that felt good.
There was a gentleman's
sweep.
This
is right up there,
There was a gentleman's sweep against the Heat, and you guys saved off a sweep and confetti rained down.
Forgive me, though, Stugotz. I'm not actually talking about, because you're right, all of those in terms of what they must have felt like for a moment would be a better feeling. What I'm trying to present to you is this might be the best Knicks team I've seen this century.
It might be. Listen, they've been the best team in the NBA since the All-Star break. They win at Boston last night. Al Horford will not miss that 3 in the postseason, I promise you. But they win that game anyways, and they do it without Brunson. And perhaps, and Mike was on this from the start, perhaps I underestimated just how good that signing was going to be for the Knicks, because he has been great. Now, again, they won without him last night, but yes,
but it wasn't
this is exciting because they're good now when you feel like they could be good for the next 5 years or so.
Stugotz, because they weren't good last year.
No.
And in the absence of Brunson, all of a sudden, quickly is having the game of his life.
Yes.
Totally unstoppable.
He was great last night.
But it's faint praise to say this is the best Knicks team of the century. I don't even know if it's true or not. I don't think any of the top 4 teams in the conference would fear them. Maybe the 4 seed would.
The Cavs?
Maybe. I don't think so.
Okay.
Do you?
I don't know if they would fear them. I think they would understand they're in for a series, and it's a difficult, tricky team to play. And with Thibodeau, you know they're going to play defense, and they have. They played defensively. They played very well. The surprise has been their team offensively, where they've been so good during this stretch and since the All-Star break. It's kind of weird to see a Tom Thibodeau team, play this well on the offensive end. That's not usually how his teams get it done. But I think the Cavs would – who are the Cavs? Who is Donovan Mitchell not to take the Knicks serious? I don't want to hear about it. I mean, seriously. And the Sixers as well. I mean, the Knicks could beat either of those teams. The Celtics, the Bucks, they'll probably run into trouble there. But who are the Cavaliers? I mean, seriously.
Stugotz.
Tired of them.
Haven't
even played them yet.
Are you willing to hope? Julius Randle was falling out of bounds. A truly terrible shot.
Yeah. Well, it went in.
I know. It did.
Great shot.
I understand that it did.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go Knicks ringing out in Miami.
I don't read too much into that. Every time we play in Madison Square Garden and in Brooklyn and in Atlanta and in Orlando, you hear "Let's go Heat." They're allowed to have this one exciting thing. It's all right. They're up, we're down.
It is wild, though. The Knicks this century have had one 50-win season, and they could potentially get a second here. I would actually be alarmed if the Knicks were really good, because there's so many desperate New Yorkers, and it is a one basketball team city as much as Brooklyn exists. They don't have, they're not competitive fan bases. I would be alarmed if the Knicks had an actual good team in terms of, they went nuts for one playoff win.
The coverage would be annoying.
It would be annoying.
I'm watching the Carton Show right now, and they're talking about Knicks basketball. It's a 5 seed, and we saw when they were in that 4-5 series, they won a game, and they totally hijacked the basketball conversation. It's just, I'd rather, if they were legitimately good, if they were title good, I don't mind them dominating the conversation. But when we're having serious doubts if they'll get out of the first round or not, I don't think it's deserved.
It's hard to say they're title good because of how overwhelming the two teams at the top are in the East, the Bucks and the Celtics. The difference with this Knicks team as opposed to 2 years ago is you feel like they could get a lot better in the offseason. They're young, and maybe they'll stick around and be very, very good for 5 to 6 years. I have no idea, but that's the hope if you're a Knicks fan. And we haven't had that in a long time.
Yeah. There's a sustainability, and you might finally be out of this muck.
Correct.
The problem with that, you're not exactly wrong, but Giannis and Tatum
Crazy.
And Embiid, these are not old people. These are, I mean, Giannis is the oldest of them, and
he's 27.
He's older than that, isn't he? But regardless, he's totally terrifying. And so you can be really good and relevant.
He's 28, by the way.
You could be exciting 9-game winning streak. Knicks give a lot of teams problems, but you don't have a player like those players.
But they might if
one does.
They might if they can show these players, these next superstars, that they're building something. It is a desirable location if that team is good. They'll get free agents. They just got one. And if they show that they're a piece away, then the next time a superstar demands out of their city, they might list New York.
By the way, this is why Mike and I make a big deal every single year about George Hill trading day, okay, the trading deadline. They get a guy, Josh Hart, who has been great. Under the radar. They get him from Portland. I had no idea he was playing in Portland. I had no idea he was a Knick. But Josh Hart has been great since the Knicks acquired him. He's given them a boost.
He's a very underrated player.
He
has been. He's just been
a little bit of everything.
He's been playing in markets that aren't really a huge part of the conversation.
Again, though, when it's Embiid and Giannis and Tatum and that age, Josh Hart's not the difference there.
No, but Josh Hart might bring you up to the precipice along with Brunson and Randall, that if the Lillard thing ever happens, you get a superstar like that, and all
they're
of a sudden,
absolutely in the conversation for the next guy, because not only do they have the good young players, they have all of their picks, and I think even then some.
Right?
They have some extra assets.
Yes.
They have extra.
They
assets.
offered them all to the Nets for Kevin Durant. The Nets didn't want to give Kevin Durant.
I know
to the
the Donovan
Nets.
Mitchell trade has worked out for Cleveland, and everyone assumed that Donovan Mitchell was going to go to the New York Knicks. But what ended up happening was you didn't have to give up any assets for Jalen Brunson. And now you're well positioned. You have all that capital to go out and get someone that could really improve your team. So it's not just Donovan Mitchell. It's a combination of Brunson and the next player, and that could certainly be better than Donovan Mitchell.